The Kelthar, an ancient alien species, were facing a disaster they couldn't stop. A deadly force, older than any of their history, was slowly tearing their planet apart. Their best weapons and technology were useless against it. No matter what they tried, the enemy kept coming, stronger and fiercer with each attack. With no one else to turn to, the Kelthar made a decision. They sent out a desperate message across the stars, hoping for a miracle. The message was clear: help us, before it's too late. The Kelthar had heard rumors about Earth about humans. They were small and not as advanced as other species, but they were known for their survival. The Kelthar knew that humans had faced many challenges and came out on top. Maybe, just maybe, they could help. The message reached Earth, but the response wasn't what they had hoped. Many of the alien species who had received the Kelthar's plea laughed at the idea. Humans? They said. How could a primitive race like that be of any use? They believed Earth's people were too weak, too small, to make any difference. But Earth's leaders didn't laugh. They knew the reputation of the humans who had fought and won against impossible odds. They also knew how dangerous this enemy was. After a lot of thought, the decision was made. Humanity would answer the call. In the quiet of their war room, Captain Alex Winters, a leader with years of experience, stepped forward. He was known for his bravery and cunning. We may not be the strongest, he said, but we are the smartest. And we never give up. With that, a plan was set in motion. A small team of humans, led by Captain Winters, would travel to the Kelthar's homeworld. They would help, no matter the cost. Captain Alex Winters stood in front of his team, staring at the stars through the window. The journey ahead was dangerous, but he knew what they had to do. Earth had answered the call for help, and now it was up to him and his crew to keep their promise. The mission wasn't going to be easy. The Kelthar's world was far away, deep in unknown space, and the way there was filled with dangers. The path was full of space storms, strange creatures, and dark areas where no one dared to go. But Captain Winters trusted his crew. They were the best, brave, smart, and always ready to think on their feet. We can do this, Captain Winters said, his voice steady. He knew that if anyone could face these challenges, it was his team. We might be small, but we're fast and clever. His crew nodded, ready to face the unknown. They had trained for moments like this, but nothing could prepare them for what lay ahead. As the ship lifted off, leaving Earth behind, there was a sense of urgency in the air. Time was running out for the Kelthar, and the danger was getting closer with every passing minute. Days passed as they traveled through space. The crew faced obstacle after obstacle: dangerous space debris, strange energy waves, and creatures they had never seen before. But each time, they found a way through. It wasn't always easy, and they didn't always have the answers, but they never stopped. Every day brought them closer to the Kelthar's homeworld. Captain Winters could feel the pressure, but he kept his cool. He knew that humanity's reputation for survival was at stake. If they didn't succeed, the Kelthar might be lost forever. The crew, tired but determined, pushed forward. The journey wasn't over, but they were ready. They had promised to help, and nothing was going to stop them. After what felt like endless days of travel, the human ship finally arrived at the Kelthar's homeworld. The planet was beautiful but broken. Great cities that once stood tall were now in ruins, and a strange darkness seemed to hover over everything. The cosmic threat had already started its attack, and the Kelthar were losing. Captain Alex Winters and his crew landed their ship carefully. As the ramp lowered, the Kelthar leaders were waiting for them. They looked tired, their eyes filled with fear and doubt. It was clear that the Kelthar didn't believe the humans could help them. "We've seen your ships," one Kelthar leader said, his voice harsh. "How can you, a weak race, do anything to save us?" Captain Winters stepped forward, holding his head high. He had expected this. He knew the Kelthar saw humans as small and unimportant. But he also knew what humans could do when they worked together. "We might not have the technology or strength you do," Captain Winters said, "but we have something you don't: determination. We'll fight with everything we have." The Kelthar exchanged looks, still not convinced. They had lost too much. Could these strange humans really save them? But as the humans began setting up their base and meeting with the Kelthar scientists, something started to change. The humans were quick, making suggestions the Kelthar hadn't thought of. They used their simple tools and clever minds to start making repairs. The Kelthar had technology far beyond Earth's, but it had failed them. The humans, though, used what they had with surprising skill, fixing things that the Kelthar thought were beyond repair. Still, doubts remained. The Kelthar were used to their own ways, and they struggled to trust the humans. But Captain Winters wasn't worried. The humans had only just begun. He knew they had one thing that the Kelthar didn't: hope. As days passed, the humans and Kelthar began to work side by side. The Kelthar were amazed at how the humans thought. While they had powerful weapons, they lacked the creative ideas the humans brought. Captain Winters and his crew were showing them something they never expected: that brains could be as powerful as weapons. The first real test came when the cosmic enemy launched another attack. The Kelthar quickly deployed their ships, but their weapons couldn't stop the enemy's force. Captain Winters watched carefully, then made a bold decision. "Captain, we don't have time to build new weapons," one of his crew said. "What do we do?" "We don't need bigger weapons," Captain Winters replied. "We need a new plan. A plan they won't see coming." He gathered his crew and the Kelthar leaders to share his idea. It was simple, but it took everyone by surprise. Instead of facing the enemy head-on with brute force, they would use the enemy's size against it. The humans suggested using small, fast ships to distract the enemy while the Kelthar set up an ambush. At first, the Kelthar didn't believe it would work. Their strategy had always been to fight with power, not speed. But Captain Winters convinced them to try. The humans piloted their ships through the enemy's lines, dodging attacks with surprising agility. The enemy was confused, not understanding why the humans weren't fighting back. As the enemy chased the humans, the Kelthar launched a surprise attack from the shadows. The cosmic force was caught off guard. It wasn't destroyed, but it was weakened. "We did it!" one of the Kelthar shouted, a smile on his face for the first time in weeks. The Kelthar began to believe. Humans weren't just strong in battle, they were smart, creative, and brave. Together, they had turned the tide of the fight. There was still much to do, but now they had hope. And that was something they hadn't had in a long time. The final battle was the toughest yet. The cosmic enemy had grown stronger, and the Kelthar were running out of time. But humans and Kelthar weren't ready to give up. Together, they had found strength in each other, and they knew this battle would decide everything. Captain Winters stood in front of the control panel, his hands steady. "We've learned a lot," he said to his crew. "Now, it's time to finish this." The plan was simple but risky. The Kelthar would use their advanced technology to create a powerful trap, but only the humans could lead the enemy into it. Using the same tactics that had worked before: speed, agility, and surprise, they lured the enemy into position. The enemy, bigger and stronger than ever, took the bait. They followed the humans, who dodged and weaved through their ships with perfect timing. As the enemy entered the trap, the Kelthar fired everything they had. The enemy's shield cracked, and the ships began to fall apart. Victory wasn't easy, but it was sweet. The humans and Kelthar watched as the enemy finally retreated, their forces defeated. For the first time in weeks, the skies above the Kelthar homeworld were clear. Captain Winters breathed a sigh of relief. He turned to the Kelthar leader, who had stood by his side through every step of the battle. "We did it," he said, a smile on his face. The Kelthar leader nodded. "We did it. together. The Kelthar, once a proud and isolated race, now saw humans in a new light. They weren't just survivors, they were allies, friends. The two species had fought side by side, and now they had earned each other's respect. As the humans prepared to leave, the Kelthar thanked them for everything. "You've saved us," one of them said. "We will never forget what you've done." Captain Winters smiled. "It was an honor. And we'll always be here, whenever you need us." As the human ship left the Kelthar homeworld, both races knew this was just the beginning of a long and strong friendship.